Good morning, AtoZSports, Nashville, Easton Freeze. JT Runke here with you today. I believe atop our correct nameplates, even though it looks backwards on our screen. I think second time's the charm, and we've got that figured out. And I'm actually Easton, he's actually JT. Either way, we're here live from Mobile at the Senior Bowl. Today's day 3 of practices. We have gotten 2 in the books, and today's show will be our first real look at some of the guys that we have been paying attention to, taking notes on, with the Titans draft upcoming in mind. They have also gone through some of their staff additions that we need to talk about: a quarterback coach, an O-line coach, a receiver coach. Robert Saleh and Brian Dable and Mike Borgonzi have been hard at work acquiring the staff members that are going to lead this team in 2026. So as American Top says, dear God, are they in the same room together? We sure are. We sure are. And we're looking forward to talking through some staff additions and some Senior Bowl players with you all this morning. JT, before we get to any of it, tell the folks what they need to do. And also, side note, if we sound bad,
in the audio,
we do. Cool. Okay, well, we'll try to turn this up for you. You guys just let us know as we adjust on the fly here in person. Once again, not expecting to have come down here and do a 2-person show like this, but Austin's situation has been an extenuating circumstance that we are working around. So we appreciate you guys sticking with us here. Let us know what the audio sounds like, and JT, tell them what they otherwise need to be doing right now.
Yeah, I guess everyone's usually mad at me for yelling on the morning show. I'm just going to have to do it anyways now, because I doubt that I'm going to turn it down now. Okay.
Well, no, we're getting all kinds of – Hayden says it sounds fine. Brian says turn it down.
All right.
We're leaving it where it is right now.
Way.
So you folks, you turn your headphones up or turn them down accordingly.
What more could you want on a third string Thursday? This is unapologetically a third string Thursday. Missing cords, using the 4th and 5th mic setup, trying to get all the cords and lights and cameras to work, for none of them to actually end up working anyways. I don't know if you can tell by the tone of the voice, but the producer in me is on fire right now.
Really frustrated.
A little enraged. But either way, we are here. We are excited to be here. Someone said that I'm wearing the same shirt as their child went off to school in today. So
nice.
I'm glad that that's my fashion sense this morning. Either way, yes, I'm wearing a middle school. How did you I have plenty of mics here. We just can't use it. So, I mean, I guess we could. But
listen, this is all warm up. The combine a month from now, our setup situation.
I will be taking over, and I will be telling Easton what to do. So
well,
that's what
hang on. Don't make this a me problem. We came down here kind of expecting to use a Frankenstein's monster setup from a handful of folks that came down. And, sometimes things aren't compatible with everybody's tech.
Yeah, fair enough. I do want to say from the video standpoint and the timing schedule standpoint, it is a throw it away Tuesday or Thursday, but
throw it away Thursday.
This is
Bork says A2Z is an online company that succeeds despite themselves. Sometimes.
Either way,
but we are here, aren't we?
The content that we're going to be talking about today is not to be thrown away, because there's a lot of good Senior Bowl content here that we need to get through. Some guys that have really caught our eye. We always talk about how the Titans end up drafting 2 or 3 or 4, or sometimes if you're Rand Carthon, 6 Senior Bowl guys right. for the Titans. So no shortage of guys to get acquainted with and to be familiar with. And we are going to do that today, along with all of the coaching hires that Robert Saleh has done before his press conference later today that is back in Nashville. Before we get started today, need you guys to lock in and like the show. Help support the show, helps us a lot, goes out to the algorithm, does all the algorithm things to put this show on as many Titans fans feeds as possible. So if you're watching on YouTube, hit that like button, make sure you're subscribed as well. If you're on Facebook, make sure you hit that like button, like the page, and share the show with a friend. In classic JT fashion, we are less than 30% like to viewership ratio on Facebook, so you guys know the drill. If that doesn't get up, I will not be reading your comments this morning.
That's right.
Not really. But with that, Easton, let's get going.
Yeah, welcome into the AtoZSports morning show live on a Thursday morning. We are powered by BTA Sports every weekday morning at 8:10 Central Time, streaming on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch. Our links are tweeted out segment by segment on our Twitter feed at AtoZSports, so follow us there. Also follow us on Instagram and TikTok for more Titans coverage. And the most important follow of the day, follow us on Google at the link that I'm going to send in the chat here in just 1 second. It is going to get A to Z's content in front of your Google searches more often. So it's going to help us to get our content to you. It's going to help you by getting the content that you want in your Google searches. It's a win-win. All you have to do is click that link, and I need to not double speak myself in my other computer. So sending that link now, hit that. Follow us on Google. Thank you very much. Got to shout out our friends who make the show possible, our lovely and amazing sponsors, Wilson County Hyundai. Make Wilson County Hyundai a part of your new car buying process in Lebanon or in person at wilsoncountyhyundai.com. The Bone and Joint Institute, the region's destination for comprehensive orthopedics and sports medicine. boneandjointtn.org is where you can go sign up for an appointment today. Barton Drury Insurance Group, customized solutions for all of your insurance needs, local and online at bartondrury.com. And Window Nation, take advantage of January's buy 4, get 4 windows free sale. You can also get 0% interest financing for up to 2 years. So, JT, before we dive into the prospects that we have kept an eye on in these first 2 days of practice, some Titans assistant news. The Robert Salva coaching staff is coming into view more so on the offensive side. Things are moving there more quickly because the coordinator situation has been figured out. Still waiting on a defensive coordinator. It seems Robert Salva's big introductory press conference, which is today at 2 p.m. Central Standard Time, that's going to be had without a defensive coordinator in place. But we know that Brian Daboll is the offensive coordinator, and he has brought with him, it seems, a handful of folks who, or two guys that he has a pretty significant history with. And the Titans have gone out and acquired somebody that it seems Mike Borgonzi has the most history with. But let's go ahead and throw those graphics up on the screen if we could. Your new quarterback coach is his name not on there? I'm forgetting.
Shea Tierney?
Shea Tierney, thank you.
There you go.
Nobody wrote these names anywhere, and now I'm freaking out to make sure I know these guys' names. Shea Tierney is the guy that was with Daboll at each stop that he had an opportunity to hire somebody as a Buffalo Bills OC. He brought him there as a New York Giants head coach. He brought him there. And now as the Tennessee Titans OC, he brought him there as a quarterback's coach or an assistant quarterback's coach in each of those spots. So he has a history with Josh Allen, with Jackson Dart, with Danny Dimes. This is the guy that we were expecting to get this job just because of the relationship. You can see on the screen his history. He has been in the coaching ranks now for the better part of the last 15 years with the Eagles, briefly in Alabama. I forgot Alabama. The 1 year that Daboll was there, he was with him as well as an offensive analyst. So he and Daboll clearly roll as a duo. The other guy that Daboll has brought in, JT, on the offensive line front, that graphic is here, and his name is
Cameron Brasillo.
There
you go. Good job.
I suck with names. I've not even met the guy. Cameron Brasillo, somebody who, as I was learning about him and his history yesterday, clearly a, dare I say, offensive line guru in the league. Are we doing this again? I know that everybody probably feels a little bit burned from the last one of these that we had come to town, but the reputation precedes him just like it did Bill Callahan. He's younger than Bill Callahan. So maybe however you want to convince yourself that it's going to work this time, you can do so by looking at his history here. Was with Daboll in New York, and before that was doing some good things with the Raiders. Well, kind of the only time in the recent history that the Raiders offensive line has been halfway decent was when he was making the best out of what was a pretty questionable personnel situation in 22 and 23. I was reading about that yesterday. So I think this is an exciting hire. I just find it funny that we're doing the O-line guru thing again.
Yeah, absolutely. On two of those guys, I'm going to go stock up on Brasillo, working out here very well with the Titans, stock down on Shea Tierney, mostly because Tierney still has his full head of hair. So
that's is a great point.
A little concerning here that we are starting to hire non-bald people on the Titans staff.
Well, do you think they get to the Titans facility and
like the Army?
Right, like they sit you down first thing in the lobby and buzz your head as a requirement?
I mean, listen.
This might be a part of the new protocol.
This is true. Listen, I think the first protocol he's an offensive line guru. Is he going to just go out there and basically firing squad Olga and Bertha? Are they even still here with us? That is a great question from American Toffin there. What is he going to do? What does a new offensive line guru do with the old offensive line guru's equipment? I think that's going to be a big one. But yeah, I mean, you look at where
Would
he's
that
gone.
Be something if it's just all different? That'd be so silly and petty
absolutely.
And ridiculous. It's just equipment.
It's being very, all jokes aside here.
I don't know. I'm not positive you're joking. It wouldn't be the most shocking thing in the world if I got out there and it was a bunch of new equipment.
Yeah, I mean, we'll see. Every different techniques and how they want to teach their offensive linemen. But I think either way, you look at what the trajectory of the offensive line was for the Titans last year. It's better to bring in another proven commodity than maybe an up-and-comer on a Bills or Giants or 49ers staff for sure. And these are two guys that have done it a lot. And I think you talk about, especially with Shea Tierney, which I'll throw the graphic back up there. And side note, I don't think you can get any pure definition of a buddy hire here. If people are
so keep that in mind for when everybody flips after the first month goes kind of poorly and you suddenly hate these guys.
Exactly. But you look at what
stupid buddy hire. I knew it wasn't going to work.
Literally every single stop where he's gone fits where Brian Dable has also gone to a T. You talk about wanting Brian Dable to get the best out of Cam Ward by using what worked with Josh Allen, what worked with Jackson Dart, all of these different quarterbacks here. You bring in a quarterback coach that has done that also and has been in the room where that's been happening. So it just reinforces that idea that you are going to get the best of the Dable culture and the Dable QB guru-ness, if for a lack of a better term.
QB guru-ness. I like that. So those are the guys that it seems Dable brought along with him. The last assistant that we have added so far to the offensive ranks is Greg Lewis, whose name I do remember. He was with the Chiefs when Mike Borgonzi was there for, from 2017 to 2022. So quite a long stint. Was talking to our buddy Charles Goldman here at AtoZSports, who covers the Chiefs, about him last night, was texting back and forth, and he singled out Tyreek Hill and Demarcus Robinson and Albert Wilson as guys that all have a history with this guy. Really, what he said was they all owe him a debt of gratitude for the work that he did to elevate their game. And obviously, Tyreek Hill is a rousing success story, no matter what you may think of him on or off the field. And this is somebody that it seems Mike Borgonzi was most connected to and worked to bring to be the Titans' new wide receiver coach. Obviously, a very important position because we know how young and new we expect this position group to be. It's going to be a lot of guys that are year two mixed in with guys that are probably in year one with the Titans when they are brought in the draft or in free agency.
Yeah, absolutely. And you look at what he's done for the last year or so with the Ravens. I think he is owed a lot of credit for trying to jumpstart the career of Zay Flowers and get the best out of him. We know that's
Pro Bowler Zay Flowers. Okay.
Well, I think he dropped out.
Yeah, but he's still, fair enough. He got the honor for a moment.
Yeah, there you go.
I honestly don't know if I could not care any less about how the Pro Bowl honor technically works because it's a ridiculous honor.
I think you have Zay Flowers there as an example, as a guy who certainly has gotten better this year versus his previous years. And I think it's in bringing in another experienced guy. Certainly you look to a different buddy this time, Mike Borgonzi.
That's
now, right. Bringing in one of his guys here, who he has extensive work with. And I think that actually helps. It's not a coincidence, I think, that Greg Lewis is the wide receiver coach, because when you talk about where these connections are coming from and who is coming from where, what do the Titans need in the draft the most this year? Probably a wide receiver or two. Mm-hmm. It serves to, I guess, be realistic that Greg Lewis is going to be right there in communication with Mike Borgonzi a lot on some of these wide receivers at all of these different, special college games and the combine and things like that.
Yep. So those are your three newest assistants. You got a quarterback coach, an O-line coach, a wide receiver coach. You've got an OC in place. You've got a head coach in place. We know of a handful of other positions. I had a list that I'm going to pull up just so we can be thorough about it. We know the running back coach, still Randy Lewis. We know the tight end coach, still Luke Stalker. So the offensive side of the ball, you've got an OC, QB, running back, wide receiver, tight end, and O-line coach, which means you're still looking for. Is that it? Those all the main position groups?
Those are the positions.
So we're just looking for some lower assistants. So the offense is kind of built out, and on the defensive side of the ball, we know that Tony Oden is still around, and that's it. Did they retain anybody else on defense?
Not that I'm aware of.
Correct us if we're wrong,
Yeah.
but I think that group will fill out pretty significantly as soon as a DC hire is made, and we know of 3 candidates that it seems Robert Saleh is still looking at, and maybe I don't even know. People ask me who's the favorite. I tepidly say Al Harris, maybe, but I really don't know. I really do not know. So we will keep an eye on that, and maybe that'll be the surprise of the press conference. Hey, by the way, here's our new DC. I don't know.
Just bring him out.
A reason to tune in. Yeah, come on out here, Al. Yeah. With that, let's talk about the draft prospects that we have kind of neglected on the morning show because of the Titans very rudely being in the middle of a big coaching situation. We forgot one of the balds, JT. We forgot one of the balds. Austin pointing out the Cowboys defensive line coach who was brought over, was one of the DC candidates, and has been brought over and hired in that same position as the defensive line coach, Aaron Whitecotton. So we know of 2 defensive assistants in place. Great call. Now, I'm going to tell you about our friends at WindowNation.com to transition us over to the Senior Bowl draft prospect portion of our proceedings this morning. Window Nation, speaking of Austin and his gorgeous, beautiful, perfect windows. Silver-filled windows that you can see on our screen right now. Those were purchased through our friends at Window Nation, who right now are running a pretty fantastic deal for the month of January. You can still get in on this at the buzzer. Buy 4, get 4 windows for free. That's the sale going on right now at 866-90Nation or windownation.com. Schedule a fast and free estimate right now with the pros at Window Nation. They will come out to your house. They will show you what they can provide for you, give you a list of your options, talk through pricing. It's no risk, no payment, no commitment meeting that you can have with one of these pros. And you can get a little taste of what your new reality could be if you want to upgrade your home's value. You could also get 0% financing on that interest for 2 years. Do it today at 866-90Nation or windownation.com.
Yeah, we are brought to you by BTA Sports. BTA Sports, better for bettors. Once again, no better time to get in than right now with our friends at BTA Sports. Use that code when you click the link in the show description or right below the title on Facebook, that code being AtoZSports to get a 14-day free trial. Then just $79.99 after that for the entirety of the 2026 sports season. That's going to get you all of the 2026 MLB season upcoming, the entirety of the 2026 NFL season up and through what will be
everything
the
but
next
the Super Bowl.
Yeah, basically. Well, with the 14-day free trial, you're also going to get that. So there you go.
Right. Well, you're getting this Super Bowl, and then you're going to get next year literally everything but the Super Bowl.
Yeah, exactly. So you're going to get a heck of a deal there, and then that doesn't include all the things that they will be bringing as well, possibly college football and much more. No better time than right now to get in with our friends at BTA Sports. BTA Sports is indeed better for bettors.
Wait, I see what you were saying. You are right. Because that's
14 days.
You're right. You're right.
And then it goes after.
So shout out to the free trial, and you will get both Super Bowls. How about that? Before we talk about specific guys that we are eyeing down here, I want to talk about a big picture process for the Titans with this draft. We know that they are picking 4th. We have a graphic that we can show if you need a refresher on where they are in the draft order. Now, a lot of our Senior Bowl conversation is going to revolve around those picks you see at the bottom of your screen. 35 and 66 and 101 and 140, because the Senior Bowl is not this year and pretty much never is the place where you come to see the bona fide first-round pick guys. There's always a couple of first-round guys that are in the late teens and 20s. You occasionally have a quarterback like Michael Penix Jr. who, leaps up the board and ends up going a lot higher than we all expected them to during Senior Bowl time. But for the most part, those players are resting on their laurels. And we are looking at guys that are going to be hoping to improve their stock as round 2 and 3 and 4 players. And a lot of them are doing that out here. So with the Titans picking 4th and then in the top 4 of each of these rounds, I want to talk about the idea of double dipping. Something that I have been talking to some folks that I respect in the draft industry a lot about since last draft season. And I've kind of been radicalized on this idea that if you have a significant need going into a draft, and obviously for the Titans, that kind of applies to most positions, but if you have a significant need like edge or receiver or cornerback, which are the Titans' 3 most glaring, do you best serve your chances of addressing it by doubling down in the draft. And I think from a philosophy standpoint, the answer is absolutely yes. I think that because of the draft is such a lottery crapshoot, bringing in 2 guys at the same position, or heck, 3 guys at the same position, to really try to break that pool cue, throw it in the room and with those guys and say, hey, one of you figure it out and be a guy for us. Heck, both of you figure it out if you'd like. But we saw the Titans literally do this last year on a lower stakes stage with the wide receiver position, bringing in ultimately 3 rookies, 2 drafted and a third a very high profile UDFA, having them come in, learn together, compete together, push each other. That worked out pretty well for a couple of 4th round picks in the UDFA. And I think that with these glaring needs, the Titans are likely to address earlier in the process. Again, receiver, cornerback, edge. I don't think they'll be waiting until day 3, round 4 to address these positions. I want to ask the question, if you were the Titans, which position should they double dip in the draft at between those 3 options? Cornerback, receiver, and edge. We're sending that question in the comments right now. But JT, what is your general opinion on double dipping in the draft?
I think it's smart. I think you look at what they did last draft with the wide receivers and double dipping there. It's really worked out in their favor with Alec Iomanner and Chimray Dike, because once again, we know how much of a crapshoot the draft can be. At the end of the day, we can say that this player, we really like him. You can really say like any of those guys are going to work out. Yes, no, maybe, things like that. But at the end of the day, getting more throws at the dartboard is going to lead to things like everybody thinking that Alec Iomanner is going to be the main guy. He's going to be the new wide receiver 1. He's going to be the best wide receiver of the draft class.
And he still will be. You'll all see.
And then Chimray Dike just kind of pops late in the season and becomes a Pro Bowler. Maybe not for a while as a wide receiver, but still being able to show. But
clearly jumps the line, yeah.
He jumps the line in the conversation here. So it's always very, very important, because you're not just looking for starters in this draft. If it was all just about getting the guys who are going to the 11 on offense and the 11 on defense, we wouldn't have this many players coming out in the draft, and we wouldn't have this many players every single year. You need depth, and this team needs depth desperately at all 3 of those positions. And so while there may be, let's say, I don't know, like a linebacker still on the board there at 101 or 140, or a tight end or a running back, it's just not necessary. That's where that conversation comes in. Like, do we need that position to maybe be a more rotational starter, or do we kind of do the draft and develop method that Mike Borgons, especially with the draft and develop method, double dipping is even more prevalent than ever?
There's a degree of certainty that comes with a 1st round pick, but even then we know that the history bears out. It's roughly a coin flip either way. That's why I think it is wishful thinking to address the draft as, okay, we have 22 starting spots. We have glaring needs at these 4 of them. Let's plug and play 1 player at each of those positions and cross our fingers that we hit that 4-leg parlay. It just doesn't work that way. And so let's go to the comments now, JT. We asked which Titans position of need are they going to double dip in the draft in? And we got some arguments for that from folks on Facebook and YouTube.
Yeah, Jack kicks us off here and says corner. You have star edge, star wide receiver, and 2 CBs are what they need. So it sounds like double dipping at cornerback is where he would go. Cristoforo saying cornerback. Ross saying cornerback. Big saying wide receiver. Alex thinks they need to double dip at kicker.
You never have too many kickers. That's
you know what? Enough.
Sure.
All of them. Just 6 of your 8 draft picks.
Yeah, you could just go
realistically
edge, receiver, corner, and call it a day.
You really could. Edge is where Mr. Clean would go. Kick it to the king, says defensive back or cornerback here. American Toff says edge. Eric says cornerback. Wide receiver, edge, corner for sure. Jeff with the all caps wide receiver. I think we know which wide receiver he would be targeting there in the 1st round.
Some SEC guy, right?
Cornerback, wide receiver, edge, cornerback, edge and wide receiver. Picking just one would go cornerback there. So a lot of love for the cornerbacks here.
And naturally so, right?
That makes a lot of sense.
That room is empty. It's right now we're literally, in terms of guys under contract, it's Daryl Baker and a bunch of guys who, gun to my head, I'm not sure I could recall their names at this moment. I mean, Marcus Harris, the rookie, is important from last year. But like in terms of guys that are starter ability, it's really just those two. And you don't really want either of them on the field unless you absolutely need them to be. So the Titans, all three of their starting cornerbacks that they came into the year with last year, two of them were shipped off before the trade deadline. One of them is technically still under contract, L'Jarius Sneed, but I think L'Jarius Sneed V3, or I guess this would be V4, or attempt number 4. It only worked the first time, and that was in Kansas City, and his body has broken down on him. What's interesting, we didn't talk about this really at all, JT. He got hurt mid-season this year like he did the previous year, and on paper, the injury was like not that concerning sounding. It was just like a pretty routine. If you'd seen and heard about this injury for another player, I think we would have all expected, he'd probably miss a couple weeks, maybe miss a month. But there were still 8 or 9 games left on the calendar, at least at that time. And I didn't hear one person the rest of the season be like, where's Sneed? We all just assumed that this otherwise pedestrian injury was like, yep, that's going to be a season for him. That's going to be a Titans career for him. Probably.
Yeah, I still do think that that's probably the Titan. We've ended the Titans' career for L'Jarius Sneed. I see the conversation there with cornerback. I'm going in a different direction, and not because I don't think it's one of the deepest position groups. Like, I think that there's arguments to be had there. I think at the end of the day, though, when you look at how Mike Borgonzi and this Titan staff is going to build the team, free agency, I think, still is going to play a big deal into this here. And with all of that money, the cornerback chart with all the guys who are free agents here for the cornerback market is going to be pretty lucrative. And I think you're going to be able to find, because at the end of the day, you don't necessarily want to go into next season with 2 rookie corners, Darrell Baker and Marcus Harris.
No.
That might just not be the best way to build your team. So getting one of those guys to potentially rotate in and be a starter, also pairing him with a guy like, I know a lot of people continue to talk about Alontae Taylor as an option in free agency. The Tariq Woolen is another guy who's going to be a free agent. All of those guys, if you want to potentially pair one of those veteran cornerbacks with one, I think that's going to be another way. Trayvon Diggs, if you want to try to
Jamel Dean, Jimmy Ward,
Yes.
Jonathan Jones, Amik Robertson, Eric Stokes, Greg Newsome. I think what you're trying to say is Roger McCreary. I think generally speaking, it is always easiest to find serviceable cornerback of these 3 positions in free agency. Like in terms of finding a guy that you can work with, I think it almost always goes cornerback, receiver, edge. And there's a pretty significant gap in between those rankings to me, especially with edge. Edge rusher is just one of those premium positions, a lot like tackle. You're just not finding really more so than tackle. I'd say more so than quarterback, because even quarterbacks recently we've seen some really serviceable guys hit the market. When was the last really deeply impactful edge rusher that was available for somebody to go buy on the market and then went to that team and was awesome for him? It just doesn't happen.
Yeah, no, it really does not. And so that's where I was leaning. If I had to pick a position where they would most likely double dip, it's at the edge position, because for all intents and purposes, we talked about on Tuesday's show, flag plants for right now, who would they take it for? We both said David Bailey. And I think with this edge class, you're looking at a couple of guys there, probably that'll be around the early parts of day 3, maybe a late day 2 guy, that you're going to potentially, the pathway to this is take a guy at 4 and then also supplement that position at the day 3 level there, kind of like what they did, his name is escaping me, the Michigan edge that is on the Titans.
Yes, Jalen Harrell.
Jalen Harrell, more to like get your bona fide guy, and then also continue to supplement with a developmental guy that could potentially come in and rotate in and do those things for you in that capacity. So that's where I end up on this, because with cornerback, I think you're looking at the free agent market, and I think that's a more viable way to compete sooner rather than later for the Titans right now, getting one from the draft and one or two in free agency to help build out that room. The edge market, especially this year, I mean, you could always go for a. You could always go with old man Trey Hendrickson and just hope it's going to work out. But once again, another big free agent that has seemingly mysterious, whether it is real injury or not, like injuries that don't seem like they should be lingering this long and then continue to linger.
It's an edge rusher nursing home every year, man. You're gonna have 30. These are the ages they will be this year. 32-year-old Trey Hendrickson, 35-year-old Khalil Mack, 32-year-old Hassan Reddick, 31-year-old Joey Bosa. One young guy. You can 28-year-old Malcolm Kuntz from the Raiders. Titans legend, 36-year-old Danico Autry, who's an inside-out guy. 34-year-old Leonard Floyd, 28-year-old Yetur Gross-Matos, and then you get another former Titan, it'll be 30 this year, Draymond Jones, and 30-year-old Arden Key, by the way. All these guys. I saw Jack in the comments a moment ago mentioning he thinks that the Titans should bring back Draymond next year, that they should bring back Roger McCreary next year, and he thinks that they'll be relatively cheap. You have to understand that the human element of having been traded away, and then like sometimes it works out and sometimes they're happy to do it. But I don't know, if you were traded away midseason by a team that really stunk and your time with them was not the rosiest memory in the world, would you want to, when you had free reign of where to go back to sign with them again? Maybe not. Maybe not. So the receiver position, we've mentioned the free agent edge guys, the free agent cornerback guys. Let's mention the free agent receiver guys. Mike Evans, speaking of old folks who I don't know how much you'll be banking on him to work out for you. I also don't know why he would not just Mike, just be a Buccaneer for life, man. Like, you don't go anywhere else. Christian Kirk, Deebo Samuel, Tutu Atwell, De'Ami Brown, Adam Thielen, Marquise Brown, Juwan Jennings, Khalif Raymond, Rashid Shaheed. We know, and this is listed by how much they're making this year. So some guys that are coming off their rookie deal, like Romeo Doubs in Green Bay, Alec Pierce in Indianapolis. Those are two of the. I'd say Pierce and Doubs are. Is that fair to say they're the top two names in terms of guys people are actually expecting to maybe come available?
That, and then I think also
Juwan Jennings in there as well, probably.
Wandale Robinson as well.
Wandale,
is
sure.
Another guy that you look at now with Brian Dable being here,
right,
saying that could potentially be
another buddy hire. Unbelievable.
Another buddy hire.
Unbelievable.
It's all buddy hires here. But hey, that's where we are right now.
For me to answer the question, I think that it is really a two position conversation in terms of doubling up. I think that it really doesn't make any sense to double up a receiver when you just did that. And I also think that the receiver position is one that they're more likely to address in free agency than these other two. Well, that's not true. Cornerback, they're going to have to address in free agency because they just need bodies. But I think that at the end of free agency, we will look up, and wide receiver is the position that they most meaningfully addressed in free agency of these three. I think that early in the draft, they're most likely to double up on edge just because of the historical context of, if you want a really good edge rusher, you have to spend a top draft pick on them. That's kind of the only way to acquire those guys. And the Titans have not put draft capital towards star edge rushers in the first round in a very, very long time. We talked about this, was it yesterday or the previous day on the show? Like, I don't see how they don't take an edge in the first round. That is what I'm entering this draft process kind of assuming for the Titans. I just think it makes way too much sense for them to spend that first pick on one of the top three edge guys, depending on who is there. Yeah, I think that you could easily turn around in the second round and just get another one of them. And you go edge to start. And it's like Robert Saleh, man, he is building back up this defense. They need bodies in the edge rusher room, and they just got two young, impressive ones to add to Femi Oladejo. And suddenly this is a stable of young edge rushers. The cornerback position is one that I could see them totally making a back-to-back pick in the fourth round, fifth round kind of deal. Bring in a couple guys that are of that caliber to compete. Now, to your point, you don't want those guys to be your day one starters necessarily, because if you are just rolling Marcus Harris and a pair of rookies out there as your super duper young, super duper green, not to be unfair to them, but like lower pedigree day 3 draft pick type cornerbacks, I don't know how good you feel about that. I don't know how good Robert Saleh would feel about that. And so I think that's where the free agency comes into play. But I suspect, and I can tell you pretty certainly that when I start doing some Titans mocks over the next couple of months, I will have a lot of double up edge scenarios early and a lot of double up cornerback scenarios late.
Yeah, absolutely. And you especially talk about the first round there. I think right now with what this team is, and we'll talk about this all. I'm sure someone will ask Robert Saleh this today, with the 4th pick. Are you preferring this? Are you preferring that? Like, where does your mind land on that? It's absolutely the best way forward given the talent that is there. But I also don't disagree with your idea that if you're at 35, because we've now seen this 3 years, this will be the 3rd year in a row or 4th year in a row where the Titans are sitting there around that 35, 36, 37th pick. It always seems to be more so best player available there versus what they exactly need or what fans think they need. Certainly last year, that was the case. The trade back versus taking a Luther Bird in there or something like that. That is absolutely what the Titans did there. Also with the Devondre Sweat, maybe not necessarily what they needed. They needed a trade back there, but they went and got their guy. So I'm not putting it past them, especially at 35, for them to say, and we'll talk about some of these guys right now and get to some of the Senior Bowl guys that have really stood out for us. If it is, say, a Derek Moore or a Mello Hyde, or guys who aren't even here, Akeem Mesidor, someone like that is still there on the board, and they say, hey, we are going to just take best player available here and help this team get better and more dominant, especially in the trenches on the defensive side of the ball. I don't think that there's an argument to be made that they couldn't do that.
I agree. So let's talk about some of these names. We have put it off long enough, and we are here in Mobile at the Senior Bowl. Going to finish up practice today. JT, I have kept my eye primarily on I have been more tunnel vision on one position group at this Senior Bowl than I think any Senior Bowl I have come to now in my 3 years coming down here. I've been looking exclusively at receiver and cornerback drills these first 2 days. I'm going to broaden my horizons today a little bit, but that's what I've wanted to dial in on, because I think that of these guys that are here in Mobile, those are the 2 position groups the Titans are most likely to pull from. And I've got some thoughts on those guys after I tell everyone about a pair of our sponsors. Let's knock a couple of these out. Let me tell you about our friends at the Bone and Joint Institute. They are the region's destination for comprehensive orthopedics and sports medicine, located just off of I-65 in Franklin, a quick jaunt down the interstate from Nashville, not far at all. They have over a dozen specialists on payroll available to help you with any kind of injury. Whenever you get hurt in life, you have to know who to trust, and we trust our friends at the Bone and Joint Institute. State-of-the-art rehab facility on campus to help you through your recovery. They do everything under one roof for your convenience, from clinic, testing, imaging, surgery to rehab. They've got it all. Schedule an appointment today with our friends at boneandjointtn.org. Also, shout out to our friends at Barton Drury Insurance Group, another local destination for something that everyone needs in life, insurance. They are customized solutions for all of your insurance needs. You can check them out today at bartondrury.com. Truly a one-stop shop for both your personal and business insurance needs, with over 4 decades of experience serving Tennesseans. Austin and Zach bought from them when AtoZSports needed corporate insurance last year, and they loved everything about that process. They presented a number of options and plans to them. They had a high level of responsiveness and expertise. The service team was fantastic, and they sell everything you could possibly need from an insurance shop, from employee benefits to 401k planning, life insurance, workers' comp, liability, auto, property, umbrella, and surety bonds. They are local. They're in the Nashville area, so support a local business. They also provide excellent service, but most importantly, they strive to make sure everyone understands their insurance policies, which is a really important part of this process. So check them out today at bartondrury.com.
Yeah, also from our friend King BC here says everyone heard me. Lock in, like the show. Make
Cheers,
sure
King.
to thank you. We appreciate that super chat there from you, King VC. Get that the likes are coming up. So good job, guys. We're very, very good. Good job. We did it this morning. Kick it to the King also with a $4.99 super chat says he'll reserve judgment for new staff hires because, like he said, and we talked about earlier, he was told that the Titans hired the best O-line coach in Bill Callahan. We'll see what happens in September with Priscilla. Absolutely. I think that's a totally fair way to look at it.
Totally fair. And to stay true to my brand, I will emphasize in the midst of all of this coaching assistant acquisition talk, the players are what matters. So you can bring all these coaches in, you can put together the world's best coaching staff, and the most important task of the offseason really begins now as we transition to some draft talk with acquiring better players for them to coach so that they can maximize the talent of more talented guys. With that, Check says, Easton, you have to go bald. No, I don't.
I also have to go bald. Austin needs to go bald. And we need to go bald.
If
Everyone needs
this was okay, so since we're on this tangent, this was on my mind a second ago. Do you remember during Mike Borgonzi's introductory presser when Big Joe from 102.5 came literally just to ask what is apparently historically his favorite question? Hello, new Titans hire. Do you think that the Tennessee Titans can win the Super Bowl this year? And that became kind of a viral moment when Chad Brinker and Mike Borgonzi were like,
no.
no. Essentially, yeah. Essentially, they were honest and said no. And they were right. I'm wondering if he will be there again to ask that question today. I would not be shocked. And how about this? I will shave my head if the Titans win the Super Bowl this year.
All right.
And I mean it this time. This is not a bit.
All right.
It's not going to happen, but I'll do it if they win, not go to win in Robert Saleh's first year. If they go full Mike Vrabel, New England Patriots 2025, I'll shave it live on the stream.
Okay.
You can come to my house and do it while we're talking about the Super Bowl win.
Got it.
So now that bet that nobody forced me into has been made, Bork says this year, that's impossible. Kind of how I feel. We'll see. It's the NFL. Crazier things have happened. Let me talk about a couple of these receivers and a couple of these cornerbacks that have stood out to me, JT, and I'd love to get your 2 cents on it. We've got Peanut Gallery here at the AtoZSports breakfast table who know a lot about these guys as well. Rob, who just off the top of your head, who's your favorite receiver down here this week? I'm just curious.
No doubt has to be. I'm going to go Jacoby Lane, wide receiver from USC. Big body guy. Wanted to see how good he would be in and out of his breaks at over 6'4", and he's extremely fluid. We know what he can do at the catch point, but him being able to separate in one-on-ones as somebody that is that big is very impressive.
Okay, so Jacoby Lane, a guy that we talked about on the previous show, I believe.
That was a really good couple seconds from Rob there. I doubt anybody was able to hear it, but for us,
I don't know. I bet they could.
You think so?
Chat, could you hear any of that? I bet it was a distant voice that you could probably make out if you listened real tight. People are asking who was talking. That is Rob Gregson, AtoZSports Steelers, and as you can tell from that answer, a draft aficionado clearly knows his stuff.
Jacoby Lane's a very interesting guy to me. He talked about this yesterday at his media availability. He's one of the bigger guys here, 6'4", I think.
He's kind of a string bean, let's be honest.
Right under 200 pounds, I think.
I can check that for you.
He was either 198 or 196. He talked about how his size was kind of a really good answer from a wide receiver here, because he talked about how his size is a both advantage and also a disadvantage. And he's still one of the guys who acknowledges that he's trying to work on how to use his size, especially at the next level. Some of the reps he was taking yesterday, and this is something he's done both days, is almost try to use the size as if he's going to bully the cornerback and knock them down on a route, and it just doesn't work. And it essentially he builds up this momentum and the corners here, and then all of a sudden they just go instead of it's the opposite of a TikTok route. Instead of all of these different moves, it's the route stops, the rep stops, and then they keep going, and you just kind of look at it and you have to go, ooh, that wasn't very good.
My question with Lane is, because to Rob's point, we know that he can win at the catch point. We know that he's a strong catch ball receiver, jump ball receiver. I'm sure he's also a good catch ball receiver because you kind of need to be. He has, I feel like, been a little bit up and down in practice from a catch ball standpoint. I've seen him with a couple of drops this week, but my biggest question from a draft prospect standpoint is, we love the size, we love the top end speed. What does the separation look like? And I'm not sure that he's demonstrated that super clearly to me in watching him down here this week. If he's just going to run go routes, I'm sure that he can get over the top on teams because of that straight line speed. But how is he separating on the rest of his route tree? Those are the questions that I have about him, and it's what I'm looking forward to diving into his tape more on and getting a feel for. We have a clip of this next guy that I want to talk about. How about Malachi Fields, the Notre Dame receiver, made maybe the play of the week so far yesterday at practice with this deep bomb pass, and we can go ahead and play that, JT.
Yeah, it's going to be one where I think we're going to have to play it.
Okay.
You're not going to be able to talk.
That's fine. Well, then let's just play it and I'll shut up.
He really said, I was also trying to watch a lot of Malachi Fields, and then he just lost 6 reps in a row, and so I stopped filming. I just thought it was going to be over. And of course, the next rep that I don't end up filming, Taylor Green says, screw it, he's down there somewhere, and Malachi Fields comes down with the ball, and I was like, well, that's what I get. I would say that he's one of those guys as well that I think you look at the potential ability that a player just has innately, and you say, this guy should be able to separate with the best of them. And it doesn't necessarily happen. And we saw some of that yesterday. And so he's one of those guys where he's going to make, we saw this at Notre Dame, we saw it at the Senior Bowl. He's going to make 1 or 2 plays that really wow you, but on a consistent basis, it's not there.
Well, I mean, there's a decent chance that he is, and I see the inconsistency. I hear that his tape has that inconsistency, and so when I dive into it, that's something that I'll be looking for. I think that he might be the highest drafted receiver that is out here when it's all said and done. He's going to be a day 2 guy. I feel pretty good about that. His prototypical size is just something that is going to be enticing to the league, no matter how you feel about the finer points of his game. 218, 6'4". I think that he's somebody that will be firmly on the Titans' radar in the 2nd and 3rd round because he does offer that prototypical size. And to your point, the Titans desperately need guys that can separate. Right now, they don't have consistent separators. They don't have guys that consistently beat press either on this team. On paper, Fields is the kind of guy with that frame you would think, okay, this guy should be able to win against press and he should be able to separate. But can this new offensive staff, get that consistency out of him? That's the question that they have to answer for themselves. A couple other names that I want to mention. A guy that everybody was really excited to see on the way down here, and I think that he has maybe lived up to the hype, is a little bit strong, but he has shown some flashes of why everybody's so excited about him. It's Georgia State receiver Ted Hurst, 207 pounds, 6'3", really productive last year for a team that I believe they went 1-11 this past season. Georgia State was really, really bad. But he had, I wrote this down because this caught my eye. He had 34 catches this season of 20-plus yards. Oh, excuse me, that's over the last 2 years. 34 catches of 20-plus yards, which is number 1 in the FBS. So he is a big play producer, somebody clearly that can stretch the field and win after the catch. Yesterday, a little bit less consistent than he was on day 1 in terms of winning in practice, but I think that he's somebody that is also firmly on the Titans and everybody's radar for, I'm looking at the consensus draft board right now, he's listed at 116 overall. That's a number that I expect to shrink as the weeks pass and we get closer to April.
Yeah, I think we'll see what happened. We'll see what happens today for sure. I think he had a stellar day 1. Day 2 kind of reverted back to the mean, got closer to, a good day. It wasn't bad by any means, but didn't get as many opportunities. And maybe that also plays into it, especially in the 11-on-11s. But yeah, this is a guy that I think, much like, it's not necessarily, they don't play the same type of position at the wide receiver They didn't go to any different type of school, but it's a player in the archetype of Isaac Tisla last year that people were like, he didn't really, he wasn't really noticed on his team during his time in college, but he's a guy that just like rises up boards, and you say, this guy went where? Like, I think Ted Hurst is one of those guys that ends up, you see a team, especially this year, where that second and third round may not be as strong as they have been in the past, where people are starting to take their different flavors of prospects earlier this year than they may have ever done before. You see this guy go round 3, day 2.
So we've been talking about some of these bigger bodied guys. If you're looking for the other mold, kind of the other end of the spectrum, some guys who have caught my eye: Cincinnati receiver Cyrus Allen. He's 180, 5'11". He's a smaller guy, but he is somebody that I've seen separate well and not waste too many movements out there. I feel like he's been a pretty consistent practice player. Kevin Coleman is a name that I was talking to our buddy Drew about yesterday. The Missouri receiver, 174, 5'11", also a leaner guy who has caught eyes down here. The last guy that I want to talk about, just kidding, one more. Josh Cameron out of Baylor is a really interesting player. You look at him out there, you don't think, oh, look at that receiver in the Baylor helmet. He doesn't come off that way just looking at him, because he is 223 pounds and 6'1". So he is a stocky dude. He's not short by any means, but he is really. He's
a long snapper playing wide receiver.
is that the comp? He is built out for a guy that is in his role, and his frame is kind of deceiving. But that different build, I think he uses pretty effectively. I think that his strength pops. He's not one of those guys that's big and you're sitting there wringing your hands because you really wish that he knew how to use his size more. He has very strong hands. That's been evident in practice so far. He's made some pretty strong catches at the catch point, and he's turned some heads. So I just find him interesting. I'm not sure how these NFL teams are going to want to use him. It's, I think, going to take some creativity, but he's certainly somebody that is a good ball player, and somebody's going to convince themselves that they've got the right plan for him. The last name that I want to mention. Sorry, did you have
I was just going to say one thing. One of those guys, named a bunch of guys that have really caught my eye. One guy that definitely, let's say the Titans decide to go with their maybe outside X receiver that they need on day 2 or even day 1 with a Cardinal Tate or something like that, or in the second or third round. And then you look at if they were potentially to double dip and use one of those many picks that they have on day 3,
right?
And they wanted to go with a slot inside guy. You were talking about the University of Cincinnati wide receiver Cyrus Allen, who currently on a lot of big boards is like a round 7 guy. I expect that to go up. The best thing I can say about him so far at Senior Bowl practices is he just wins.
Right.
This is a guy that I think is definitely limited to a slot only position, but the speed, the shiftiness, like it's all there. And I think he's a guy that you could look at as being one of those gadgety slot players that you could end up using a lot in year 1.
Mm-hmm. The last guy that I have to mention, and maybe I've saved the most interesting for last because he has turned a lot of heads, and a lot of folks came down here and haven't not the slightest clue who he is. Tyron Montgomery out of John Carroll, 190, 5'11", consistently making plays these first 2 days of practice. And I don't know how much John Carroll ball you watched this fall. I watched 0 snaps of it. I didn't know who this dude was until I showed up on Tuesday, and I kept looking up, and it was like, there's that Montgomery kid again doing something cool. Here's where I'll plead ignorance on him. I'm seeing the separation. I'm seeing him prove himself as an athlete of the caliber of these NFL level guys. Like he's the prototype example for the Senior Bowl that I'm most interested in, because this is their opportunity to play against a group of players that are much better than what they played against at the John Carroll's D3, right?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. It's at the D3 level, and he has not skipped a beat. So that's really impressive whenever you see a guy come to this level and after dominating D3 guys also dominate some. I mean, like he was winning against Colton Hood on day 1. He was kind of putting Chris Johnson in a blender on day 2.
I think we have a clip.
Do we have a clip of him against Chris Johnson?
Yes, we do.
Let's play that.
It's 5 seconds. So we'll be right back.
I mean, that'll play in the NFL.
Yes, it will. Absolutely.
What I don't know is how much the media element of draft season is interesting, because we know that when we talk about guys' stocks rising and falling, it's more so on our end than it is on these teams' boards. These scouts have like watched all the tape. Their opinion on guys does not fluctuate as much as ours tends to. We're kind of just catching up to them. I'd be really curious to see where teams have this guy when this is in him, like he's capable of doing these things. Are we talking like what's too much to be excited about Tyron Montgomery out of the Senior Bowl? Are we talking about a early day 3 guy? Do I dare say maybe he improves his stock to have somebody at the end of day 2 consider him? I don't have a gauge for that.
Yeah, I listen, I'd be shocked if he did rise up the ranks of to like day 2, like late day 2.
Me too, but I mean, if we walk away from the Senior Bowl and like he was the best receiver at the Senior Bowl.
True. I mean, that.
What do I do with that?
Yeah, I would comfortably put it as like a early-ish day 3 guy, late 4th, maybe middle of the 5th round type of guy.
As I look back at my sheet here, I think the answer is the frame is going to be the limiting factor,
Yes.
right? He's not too small to play in the NFL, but at 195, 11, that's not a frame that is convincing you to take a swing on a guy like some of these others that we've mentioned who will probably be taken higher.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. Do we want to mention, we're kind of running out of time here. We can mention a couple of cornerbacks because obviously the Titans are going to need one. Some of the biggest names coming into the week who are borderline first-round players, Colton Hood, Tennessee cornerback. I felt like he steadied the ship a little bit in day 2 and acquitted himself pretty well after a shakier day 1. Chris Johnson out of San Diego State was a really big name coming into the week. Folks were excited to see him against this group of talent. And I don't know, it hasn't gone great.
No, it really has not. He's the guy that we were kind of putting maybe unfairly on the Quinyon Mitchell track to stardom this week.
He was being anointed a little bit.
He really was, because of just the background and the tape. And I think that's the biggest thing for him. That's the conversation around the Senior Bowl right now, is that he is not having a great week. He started off the first day with a really rather poor day. Yesterday, kind of got back to a okay day. So maybe today he finally gets into gear and we see a dominant performance from him. Today, he's one of those guys that you talk to people and it's like, yes, he's not had a good day, but at the end of the day, he still has all of this tape that looks awesome.
Right.
And so you kind of have to.
Let's not confuse the situation. Like, no 2 days of Senior Bowl practice are erasing what you did in your college career. But there is something to be said about a guy who played lesser talent at San Diego State coming and struggling against a mix of guys at the Senior Bowl. So you have to parse that out. A couple of later selections, guys that are expected to be day 2 and day 3 that correct me if I'm wrong. I think I was talking to you about this, but I lose track of who I was talking to about what. Weren't you enamored with Malik Muhammad yesterday?
Yes.
Wasn't this something that I heard you say? Give the people the pitch on Malik Muhammad out of Texas, 183 pounds, 5'11", go.
I mean, he's just one of the few corners that I'm watching out there that actually is making PBUs, is being aggressive, is really keeping to his man, not easily getting beat. He's showing his fluidity and his footwork. He's a guy that I continue to look at and I say, this is the type of guy that a Robert Saleh 49ers style defense really could benefit. And so I think you look at, especially on round 4, day 3, we were talking about guys that if you had to flag plant one guy that they're going to take somewhere, I would say I would look at Malik Muhammad, first pick of the 4th round. I think he's a guy that his smarts also just out there, the instincts, the smarts, he's playing with a lot of those, where some of the guys feel like they're having to put their technique out there first without, just going out there and playing football. Malik Muhammad has gotten past that point and is just playing good football out there.
Playing good football, strong pedigree, coming from Texas, respected program out there. So that's cornerback and receiver. JT, before we get out of here, I know you had some edge rushers that you wanted to mention. I will, again, admittedly have watched basically none of the trench play these first 2 days. but you have. So what has caught your eye?
Yeah, well, the one guy I told everybody to potentially watch this week, and Derek Moore, has been undoudedly the guy
That's
to
right.
watch.
You kind of crushed that one on the preview day.
Yeah, I'll admit it was more of a dart throw just because the guys down here, with so many of them kind of
big question marks.
falling out of the race or taking themselves out of the race.
Mhm.
It was like the edge class here at the Senior Bowl has really plummeted. But Derek Moore was one of the guys who still had, that group of 4 pedigree and had the tape and the highlights, and he has come here and looked like one of the best edge rushers, if not the best edge rusher in this Senior Bowl group. There's plenty of clips of him absolutely posterizing, bulldozing, pancaking, whatever you want to say. Describe it as Markel Bell, who is no small human being.
No.
He's also just playing with the most nasty aggression out there, both in the pass rush, but also in the run defense game.
Mm-hmm.
He is closing down lanes on his own. He's looking really aggressive out there. He's also just has a fire. He was one of the people that was involved in a rare Senior Bowl skirmish and scuffle yesterday. So that's going to be something to watch, that competitiveness and how that comes out. And is that a good thing? Is that a bad thing when it comes to a guy like that? You'll have to, dig more on that and see how teams feel, especially is that something that's going to translate onto the field in terms of like a Jeffrey Simmons, who was really good, but then is also just going to do like you can't do that on the field type thing.
Sure.
But he's had a heck of a week here. Romello Height also is a guy who has really shown out this week.
And for context, by the way, we were talking about, again, these are guys that the Titans would be looking to have fall to them in round 2 and round 3.
Yes, exactly.
If they decide to double down after taking an edge in the first, or if by some unforeseen change that I'm really not sure how we get there, but the draft season is long and a lot can change the next couple of months. They don't take an edge in the first round. These are the kinds of guys you'd be targeting.
Yeah, absolutely. I think you're looking at Romello Height and you're looking at Derek Moore, especially even in a potential trade back, and they trade back to the mid 50s and take one of those guys and double down there as they get more picks here. I think that's a really interesting one to watch for going forward. A couple other guys, Danny Dennis Sutton out of Penn State is another guy that I would put, not necessarily, I'm not going to flag plant on him, but I think Titans fans need to know him because he's one of the guys I think they could also look at on day 2. And then one other guy, I talked about Romello Height there. He's just one of the guys that has looked solid across the board. One of those guys that you expected to come out here and show why he's going to be a day 2 guy. And kind of maybe not rise with the stock, but maybe potentially stay at that level that we thought he would be at. So that's him. And then also Gabe Jacas. I think Jacas is how you say it.
Jacas? I don't know.
Jacas, something like that, out of Illinois.
Anyone at the table want to chime in on that? Jacas or Jacas?
Jacas.
All right.
His speed. He was one of the.
There's another way you could pronounce it too. If you really wanted to.
Yeah, fair enough. He's one of the guys here that every day when they put up the speed, like the fastest at each position,
he's on the board.
Jacas is always at 1 or 2. He's one of these guys that is fast, which I think not necessarily like quick off the line, but just like athletically fast. So it's really interesting seeing these guys because once again, it's just not a group that you're sitting here being like, it's not like last year where you had Landon Jackson and you had Princely Uman-Miel and Donovan Ezaraku, like all of these guys that you were looking at the Senior Bowl last year and saying like, these are all going to be in the mix at 35 last year or the second round. It's just not the same this year. So these are the guys that I would definitely keep my eye on.
Okay, so there's your potpourri of names to keep an eye on, maybe add to your list of guys to go and watch some film on if you're so inclined. We've got a handful of comments to get to, kind of random across the board. We'll read these and then we will do a little trivia and call it a day on the big Robert Saleh press conference day is what we're really looking at today. Big Ten Jeff says, Easton going full Titans and neglecting wide receiver. Please keep rolling out that G5 school level wide receiver room. See how well that works for y'all in Cam. Not neglecting receiver. We were talking about doubling down, and I don't think the Titans are going to draft 2 high-level receivers in this draft because they drafted 2 last year. And also, if you listened to what I was saying, I'm expecting them to address wide receiver in a meaningful way, is what I said, in free agency. So if you go and you add Alec Pierce in free agency, it changes the math on what your desperation level is for the draft. So, but thank you for the $5 anyways, Big Jeff.
This is a Big Jeff feeling scorned that we continue to not bend the Carnell Tate
right, mention his boy.
Which,
sorry, buddy.
Strap in, Jeff. It's going to be a long draft cycle.
Yeah, buckle up, Buttercup. Big 2033 says, so sorry I missed it, but what class do you feel is deeper, edge or receiver? Deeper. I think
receiver.
I think receiver until the end of time might be deeper because of where we're at in the modern football development path, like the way that these guys, like we've talked about this, the way that these guys work up through 7-on-7s and have so much more football mileage under their belt. By the time they get to the draft, there's just always going to be gems to be found in the later rounds at receiver. There aren't often gems at edge that you find in later rounds. Good on that. Good on that front.
Yep.
Okay. Dalen says, off topic, but has there been any news or updates on Cam's shoulder injury? I had somebody else ask me about this yesterday. No, he did not get surgery. He is recovering. He, as far as I know, is expected to be good to go for most, if not all, of the offseason program. So the only thing that I guess we have to think about is hoping that the decision to not go the surgical route doesn't end up biting him. For a lot of guys, it doesn't, but we have seen it happen before. So you just got to have your fingers crossed on that one. Jack sharing his good news a day early, I think, because he can't be here tomorrow. So why not? Good news. UGA basketball handed a much-needed win to his Vols by taking a layup while time expired down 3. I did not see this, but that sounds very funny. So good for Vols fans. Josh Bailey, what is the best way to watch the 2 p.m. Sala introductory press conference? A good PSA question. I'm sure it will be covered by both of the local radio stations. You can watch on the Titans YouTube page.
Well, actually, you
Twitter.
Can't.
They're not? Huh?
Someone said this earlier in the chat, and I had to go check it and fact check it. The Titans are doing something interesting and have created a separate YouTube channel called Titans Press Conferences.
Oh.
So I guess
News
go
to me.
subscribe to that or look at that, I guess.
Are we sure that that's it? That we feel good about this?
So I go to the this is live and bad radio, but yeah, watch Titans Press Conferences.
It has 143 subscribers. Okay.
And it's linked to their official YouTube, which
all right, well.
Hey.
Around 2:00, if you just search on YouTube Robert Saleh introductory press conference,
probably have
the right video will pop up for you. Let's just put it that way. One more super chat from Jack. Hey Jeff, who are the Colts getting in round 1? Oh wait.
$2 to dunk on Jeff.
A strong use of $2. We want to get to some trivia and call it a day here?
Sure.
All right, let's do some trivia on a Thursday.
Oh, I have to hit the ground.
Some real third string Thursday stuff going on here. Shout out to our friends at WilsonCountyHyundai.com. Make them a part of your new car buying process in person in Lebanon or online at WilsonCountyHyundai.com. JT, I am preparing to share can I share my screen without being in here? I believe that I can. I can. Okay, are we ready?
Sure. Why not?
Aha. Okay.
Oh, this is bad.
Why? Oh, it's fine. Don't worry about it. We've got a little soccer on the board today. So chat, soccer heads, wherever you are, football fans, we need you bad because we're not going to know it. I can almost assure you. You guys know the drill. We start with NFL, go counterclockwise, end with celeb mashup. Do we have an over-under from Orlando? We do. 445. The line has moved after yesterday's true debacle of a showing between Austin and I. Hopefully we can do a little bit better.
It's 445.
I just said that.
Oh.
Where have you been?
Sorry,
I
was
where
listening.
Where is your mind right now?
It was Ryan Roberts saying, I'm going to vomit if I hear one more A to Z staff member hype up Jacoby Lane.
So he is calling out Rob in real time.
Yes.
That's crazy work. I'll let them handle that between each other like men. We're going to do trivia. Are you ready, JT?
Sure.
NFL. The only time a Super Bowl MVP lost the Super Bowl was when linebacker Chuck Howley won the award for this NFC team during Super Bowl V against the Colts. Anyone know this answer?
Didn't the Packers go to like 5 straight to start?
Was it? I don't think it was 5 straight. Who did Chuck Howley play for when he lost the Super Bowl but still got the MVP? This is a tad before my time, I'm afraid. Cowboys. Okay, the Cowboys. There we go. America's team. Retail and shopping. This celebrity chef owns equity and is a spokesman for Hexclad Cookware. That is Gordon Ramsay. I remember the commercials.
Easton Freeze, big cookware guy.
Apparently, airing for 91 episodes between 1991 and 1992, this Disney ABC cartoon followed the superheroic alter ego of ordinary suburban duck Drake Mallard. Ordinary suburban duck Drake Mallard. A Disney cartoon.
I don't think it's DuckTales.
I don't think it's
not DuckTales.
I watched DuckTales. This is not what DuckTales is about, unless I'm completely misremembering DuckTales.
Darkwing Duck.
Let's see if that's even an option. It is.
Sure.
Let's go with Darkwing Duck. It sounds right. It is right. Movies. A year after an erotic drama starring Dakota Johnson and Jamie Dornan came out, Marlon Wayans wrote and starred in this 2016 film parodying it and the genre. So the reference is 50 Shades of Grey.
I think it's called 50 Shades Grey. No, that's
50,
the second.
Yeah, that's the actual second movie.
Know.
What was Marlon Wayans' 50 Shades of Grey parody? I'm not familiar with this.
Me neither.
I can picture in my head roughly what it is because I know what Marlon Wayans' bit is. 50 Shades of Black. Okay, that checks out. That sounds exactly like what? Nope, wait. It's not an option.
Maybe do like spell 50.
50, yeah. Okay, there we go. Thank you, Marlon, for your contribution to society. Finishing top 10 on the end of year Billboard Hot. That's a weird way to say it. The end of year Billboard Hot of 2013. What rapper was featured on Florida Georgia Line's remix of Cruise? Nelly. That song was massive that summer. Founded in Missouri in 1990, this brand of soda is made with real cane sugar, sold in glass bottles, and is most known for its root beer, but offers flavors like cherry limeade and cream.
I think that's Boyland.
Boyland?
Yeah, B-O-Y. No.
Nope.
I don't know how to spell it, but I think that's what it is.
Chat, is it Boyland, and how do you spell Boyland? I'm not familiar with the Missouri soda game.
Or A&W, I guess, but or Jones. Maybe it's
what
not
is
Boyland.
Jones? IBC soda 100%. All right, I like the confidence there. I'll roll with that one person. It's your fault. You're wrong. You're not wrong. Way to call your shot. Referring to their national team as the Socceroos, this country, which is not in Asia, well, thank you for that help, I guess, hosted and won the 2015 AFC Asian Cup. Wait, what?
Socceroos sounds Australian.
Yeah, and that would make sense for the Asian Cup. Maybe, or New Zealand.
Ooh, that sounds...
It's got to be one of those two, right?
It's either Australia or New Zealand.
American Top says Australia. I'm seeing Australia. Okay. That's very funny that they won the Asian Games. Good for them. NBA, this Italian shooting guard played for 8 different teams from 2007 to 2020, and in 2014, he won the three-point contest and was part of the Spurs title team. I'm going to know this when I hear it, but I don't know it. Italian shooting guard played for 8 different teams, won the three-point contest as a member of the Spurs title team. Chat? Bueller? Barinelli? Marco Barinelli, yeah.
Sure.
Told you I'd know it when I hear it. How do you spell his name?
I would just
Marco.
Put Marco in.
Yeah. Celeb mashup. I did this yesterday too. Wait, let's give it a second. And the photo is supposed to pop up.
This photo is a mashup of Emmanuel
Cherokee
and who else?
I've never heard of this guy, Emmanuel.
I'm gonna go.
Or girl. I honestly don't. I apologize to whoever this person is. It was Gallinari, by the way, not Garinelli. Whoops. Ooh. Okay.
Is that Aaron Paul?
So we're assuming Emmanuel
it's Aaron Paul because it's out of Westworld, and yes.
Okay. Hey, great pull from the background context. All right. Hey, just at the buzzer.
At the under.
Hit the under by 4 seconds. A clean 9 for 9. We've been faster before, but that is a pretty strong effort. And that's going to propel us into day 3 of the Senior Bowl. So much stuff coming. I've got a couple of articles coming within the next hour or two on AtoZSports.com, which I recommend you keep an eye out for. We will have the Robert Saleh press conference covered in person by Austin and Buck, and remotely, JT and I will be paying attention to that from down here in Mobile. That's at 2 p.m. Central Time, so make sure to tune in for that at apparently the Titans press conference YouTube page, a thing that I just learned about. And keep it locked for all of our Senior Bowl coverage from the final day of practices. We'll be back tomorrow. I believe it'll be JT and I once again on the morning show, wrapping things up.
I think
from
it'll be
Mobile.
all three of us.
Oh, okay. Yeah, great point, because Austin will need to be involved from the press conference. So we will talk
It's
about
important.
it'll be probably a mega show tomorrow with press conference coverage and with Senior Bowl coverage. It's going to be a good time. Make sure to be back here, same time, same place. Until then, enjoy your Thursday.
See you.
No video credit.